Hello everyone, welcome back to another live session of Root Hackers Lab. So in today's live session, we are going to learn passive reconnaissance. So first, what we will learn in this live session. So we will learn passive reconnaissance and plus 5 modules to gather information about our target website or target domain etc. Okay, so first learn about essential tools for passive reconnaissance such as NS and DIG. Welcome to the first room of network security module. This module covers that's not necessary for this room. In this room, after we define passive reconnaissance and active reconnaissance, we focus on essential tools related to passive reconnaissance. We learn three command line tools. Okay, so in this room, we learn three command line tools to gather information about our target website or target domain. Okay, so the first one is whois to query whois servers. Okay, or to query whois servers. Okay, that's good. And then ns lookup to query DNS servers. Okay, that's also good. And then dig to query a DNS server. We use whois to query whois records, while we use ns lookup and dig to query DNS database records. These are all publicly available records. Okay, so that's good. We also learned the usage of two online services, DNS Dumper and Sudan.io. These two online services allow us to collect information about our target without directly connecting to it. Okay, so that's good. Let me check. Join the room. Let me refresh the page. What's the problem? My account is logged out. Let me log in my account and then we'll start our live session. Passive versus active recon. So first, what is passive reconnaissance? Okay, passive reconnaissance is the process of collecting information uh, about a target without interacting with it, without directly interacting with our target. Okay, so this goal is to stay silent and undetected while gathering useful information about our target. So what is reconnaissance? So reconnaissance is a gathering information about our target. This is reconnaissance, and there is two types of reconnaissance. The first one is active reconnaissance, and the second is the passive reconnaissance. No, no one is the passive, and the second one is active reconnaissance. Okay, so in the passive reconnaissance, you rely on publicly available knowledge. It is the knowledge that you can in, that you can access from publicly available resources while directly engaging with the target. Think of it like you are at target territory from afar without stepping foot on the territory. Okay, that's good. Passive reconnaissance activities includes many activities, for instance, looking up DNS records of a domain from a public DNS server, checking job ads related to a target website, reading news articles about the target company. Okay, so the second one is active reconnaissance. What is active reconnaissance? Active reconnaissance, on the other hand, cannot be achieved so discreetly. It requires direct engagement with the target. Think of it like you check the logs on the door and windows among other potential entry points. Okay, so that's a good example for it. So the example of active reconnaissance activities include connecting to one of the company servers such as HTTP, FTP, and SMTP, calling the company in an attempt to get information like social engineering, entering company premises, and pretending to be a repairman. Okay. So there's a questions. Answer the below questions. The question is below. You visit the Facebook page of the target company, hoping to get some their employee names. What kind of reconnaissance activity is this? Okay, that's passive. This not directly engaging with the Facebook. Okay, you ping the IP address of a company. Okay, that's the active reconnaissance. We know. Get the IT administrator of the target company at a party. You try to use social engineering to get more information about their systems and network infrastructure. What kind of reconnaissance activity is this active? So the first module is the whois. What is whois? Whois is a request and response protocols. This follow the RFC. This okay. There's a big article. A whois server listens on port 43 for incoming request. The domain registrar is responsible for maintaining the host records for the domain names. It is leasing the host server replies with the various information related to the domain requested of particular interest. We can learn registrar and contact info of registrant, creation, update, and expiration dates, name server. What is registrar? Via which registrar was the domain name register, contact info of registered, name, organization, address, phone, among other things. Okay. Creation, update, and expiration dates. When was the domain name first registered? When was it last updated? And when does it need to be renewed? So that's the expiration dates and the updation dates like this. Name server. Which server to ask resolve the domain name. To get this information, we need to use a whois client or an online service. Many online services provide whois information. However, it is generally faster and more convenient to use your own whois client. Using the attacks box on your local Linux machine such as Parrot or Kali, you can easily access your whois client on the terminal. The syntax is whois and then your domain name like TryHackMe. Okay, where domain name is the domain about which you are trying to get more information. Consider the following example executing whois TryHackMe. Okay, so as you see here, there's all the information about TryHackMe. Like this, whois TryHackMe? There's the syntax of this command. You can see plenty of information. We will inspect them in the order displayed. First, we notice that we redirected to whois.namecheck to get our information. In this case, and at the time being, namecheck is maintaining the whois record for this domain name. Furthermore, we can see the creation date along with the last update date and expiration date. Okay. Next, we obtain information about the registrar and the registrant. We can find the registrant's name and contact information unless they are using some privacy service, although not displayed above. We get the admin and tech contacts for this domain. Finally, we see the domain name servers that we should query if we have DNS records. Okay, so as you see here, this is the whois server and the where is the name server, the registrar contact phone and the registrar email and the INA ID, registrar name, and so much information about our target. Finally, we see the domain name server that we can query to the DNS records lookup. Okay. The information collected can be inspected to find new attack surfaces such as social engineering or technical attacks. For instance, depending on the scope of the penetration test, you might consider an attack against the email server of the admin user or the DNS servers. Assuming they are owned by client and fall within the scope of the penetration test. Okay, let me check the another information. Okay, so that's the domain status and the registrant and the registrant ID. Okay, that's also good. It is important to note that due to automated tools abusing whois queries to harvest email addresses, many whois services take measures against this. They might redirect email addresses, for instance. Moreover, many registrants subscribe to privacy services to avoid their email addresses being harvested by spammers and keep their information private. On the attack box, open the terminal. Okay, so first we can start our attack box. So it take a little bit of time, so we can wait for it. It's loading. About 30%, 31, 32. Let me wait for this. Okay, so it started. So it started. Make sure to subscribe the channel and like the live stream. So if you have any question, please tell me in the live chat. If you have any question about passive reconnaissance, so please tell me in the live chat. Okay, so when was TryHackMe.com registered? So there is a awesome tool that we learn in this task. This is the who is okay, who is, and then TryHackMe.com. Then TryHackMe.com. So when was the TryHackMe.com registered? Updated date and the creation date. Okay, so this is the 2018 and then 07 and then 05. As you see, this is the creation date of TryHackMe. What is the registrar of TryHackMe.com? So the registrar of TryHackMe.com is name and cheap.com. As you see here in here, registrar URL http namecheap.com. This is the registrar name also. which company is TryHackMe? Which company is TryHackMe.com using for name servers? Name server. Okay, so this is the name server keep.ns.cloudflare.com. Okay, so it's using the Cloudflare name servers. So it's using the Cloudflare name servers. Cloudflare. And fourth task. In the previous task, we used the host protocol to get various information about a domain name we looking up. In particular, we were able to get the DNS servers from the registrar. Okay, let me pick this and terminate from this. Find the IP address of the domain name using NSLOOKUP, which stands for the name server. You need to issue the command NSLOOKUP and domain name. Okay, so that's the syntax for this tool. For example, NSLOOKUP tryhackme.com, or more generally, you can use the NSLOOKUP options domain name. These are three main parameters. Are options contains the query type as shown in the table. For instance, you can use the A for IPv4 addresses and the AAA for IPv6 addresses. Domain name is the domain name you are looking up. Server is the DNS server that you want to query. You can choose any local or public DNS server to query. Cloudflare offers 101.1.1.1 or 0. Google offers this. Okay, so there's the domain name servers and the DNS servers for all the companies. Like Google offers this, and Quad9 offers this. There are many more public DNS servers that you can choose from if you want alternatives to your ISP's DNS server. Okay, so that's the DNS record. So as you see here, the A represents the IP4 addresses, and the A is represented the IPv6 addresses. Okay, the C name is the colonial name. The MX is the mail server. It represents the mail server, and the SOA record represents the start of authority, and the TXT records is shows the TXT record. For instance, let's look up dash type dash a tryhackme.com can be used to return IPv4 addresses because we specify the A option, which returns the IPv4 addresses. Okay, so the A and the 4 times A records are used to return IPv4 addresses and IPv6 respectively. This lookup is helpful to know from a penetration testing perspective. In the example above, we started with one domain name and we obtained 3 IPv4 addresses. Each of these IP addresses can be further checked for insecurities, assuming they lie within the scope of the penetration test. Let's say you want to learn about the email servers and configuration for a particular domain. You can issue this. Okay, so it's resulting the MX records and the mail servers. I think, oh, okay, it's returns the mail server records for this domain. Like TryHackMe, here is an example for this. So if you have any question, please tell me in the live chat. Make sure to subscribe this channel. Okay, so we can see that TryHackMe current email configuration uses Google. Okay, so it also uses google.com. Since MX is looking up the mail exchange servers, we noticed that when a mail server tries to deliver email at tryhackme.com, it will try to connect to this domain which has order 1. If it is busy or unavailable, the mail server will attempt to connect to the next in this domain. We can see here, as you see here, this is the first mail server. Second mail exchanger is equal to this in order. Mail exchange servers is this. Okay, so the first one is this this and this one. Okay, Google provides the listed mail servers, therefore we should not expect the mail servers to be running a vulnerable server version. However, in other cases, we might find mail servers that are not adequately secured or patched. Such pieces of information might prove valuable as you continue the passive reconnaissance of your target. You can repeat similar queries for the other domain names and try different types such as test type txt. Who knows what kind of information you can discover. Okay, so this is the test type is equal to txt, so it gives us the txt record. So if I want to execute and retrieve the mx record, so I want to change it to dash type is equal to an mx. For more advanced DNS queries and additional functionalities, you can use the DIC, the acronym of domain information grouper. Okay, if you are curious, let's use DIC to look up the MX records and compare them to NS lookup. We can use DIC domain name, but to specify the record type, we would use DIC. Optionally, we can select the server we want to query using DIC. Server is the DNS server that you want to query. Domain name is the domain name you are looking up. And type contains the DNS record type as shown in the table provided earlier, like this table. Okay, so dig TryHackMe and MX. So let's give us the MX records. So a quick comparison between the output of NS lookup and dig shows that dig return more information such as TTL value like time to live by default. If you want to query a 10111 DNS server, you can execute this command. Okay. Check the txt records for thumbs. What is the flag here? Okay. Check the txt record for this one. Let me clear my terminal. And then I want to use the NSLOOKUP because that's my favorite tool for this type of activities. And then thanks.com, like this. We can specify the MX record because here. No. Check the txt record. We can specify the txt here. Like dash type is equal to txt. Like dash type is equal to txt. And then what's my domain name? That's thmlabs.com. Okay, so as you see here, that's interesting. This is my flag. This is my flag. So the fifth task, this is about best tools for gathering more information. DNS lookup tools such as NSLOOKUP and DIG cannot find subdomains on their own. The domain you are inspecting might include a different subdomain that can reveal much information about the target. For instance, if tryhackme.com has the subdomains wiki.tryhackme.com and webmail.tryhackme.com, you want to learn more about these two, as they can hold a trove of information about your target. There is a possibility that one of these subdomains has been set up and is not updated regularly. Lack of proper regular updates usually leads to vulnerable services, but how can we know that such subdomains exist? But we consider using multiple search engines to compile a list of publicly known subdomains. Okay, one search engine was not be enough. Moreover, we should expect to go through at least tons of results to find interesting data. That's good part in the penetration test. Okay, after all, you are looking for subdomains that are not they're not explicitly advertised, and hence it is not necessary to make it to the first page of search results. Another approach to discover such subdomains would be to rely on brute force inquiries to find which subdomains has DNS reports. To avoid time consuming work, we can use this tool, DNS dumper. This is a website, I think. Oh, okay, dnsdumper.com. This is a website. Let me check the output. Okay, so it's gives me a DNS servers, txt records, host records, and also a graph for it. Look up tryhackme.com on DNS dumper. Okay, what is one interesting subdomain that you will discover in addition to www and blog? Let me search for this. Tryhackme.com. Look up TryHackMe. What is the interesting subdomain? The interesting subdomain is the admin. Okay, so I think that's not my answer. Okay, I am right. The assets. The assets is also. Let me check the assets. There is the cancel. I think this is. No. Okay, so we discover one domain like remote.tryhackme.com. If it exists or not, let me check for this remote.tryhackme.com. I think this is not existed, and this domain name is best for it. We found this other year. Okay, domain is not exist. Let me enter this one. There's not a, there's not a logic for this, because here is the admin and the assets and cancel. There is no remote. What is this problem? Oh, hi, Kalfa. Hi, okay, hi, bro. Hi. Welcome to the live stream. There's a task 6 is Sudan, IO. So in this task, DNS dumper. So there is no remote.tryhackme.com. There is no subdomain like remote. But it's thus the answer is correct. I don't know what is this. Let me check the another one. This is the Sudan, and the Sudan I like it personally because this is the most powerful search engine for ethical hackers and bug bounty hunters and penetration testers. When you are tasked to run a penetration test against a specific target, so as part of the passive reconnaissance page, a service like Sudan.io can be helpful to learn various pieces of information about the client's network without actively connecting to it. Furthermore, on the defensive side, you can use different services from a Sudan IO to learn about connected and exposed devices belonging to your organization. Okay, that's good. Sudan IO tries to connect to every device reachable online to build a search engine of connected things in contrast with a search engine of web pages. Once it gets a response, it collects all the information related to the service and saves it in the database to make it searchable. Consider the saved record of one of the tryhackme.com. Okay, so tryhackme.com and it gives you a lot of information. It gives us a lot of information. This record shows a web server, however, as mentioned already, Sudan.io collects information related to any device. It can find connected online. Searching for tryhackme.com on Sudan.io will display at least a record. The record show in the screenshot above. Via the Sudan.io search result, we can learn several things related to our search, such as IP addresses, hosting company, geographic location, server type, and version. Okay, so that's why this is most important in cybersecurity. So this is the most powerful search engine in cybersecurity. Sudan.io. Let me access this Sudan. So what's the first question? You may also try searching for the IP addresses you have obtained from DNS lookup. These are of course more subject to change. On their help page you can learn about all the search options available at Sudan.io and you are encouraged to join Sudan.io. What is the okay? There is a specific room for this. Okay, so that's why this is the most important tool in cybersecurity. According to Sudan.io, what is the first country in the world in terms of number of policy accessible Apache servers? Okay, so the Apache servers. Apache servers. Apache servers. Apache servers. Okay, so this is the United States. There is a almost 4933 Apache servers. This is the United States. So that's why this search engine is most powerful. Okay, so based on Sudan.io, what is the third most common port used for Apache? So the Apache, the, the third most uh, used port, Apache port. Okay. Based on Sudan.io, what is the third most common port used for Apache? Okay, so let me hit enter the Apache. Their top ports 1, 2, and 3. Okay, so this is the 8080 port. 8080. Based on Sudan.io, what is the most common port used for Nginx? Most common port for Nginx. Let me search this in Nginx. Then hit enter. Most common port for Nginx is 80. Okay, that's it in this room. So in this live session and in this room, we focus on passive reconnaissance. In particular, we covered command line tools, OS and NSLOOKUP and dig. We also discussed two publicly available sources like DNS Dumper and Sudan.io. The power of such tools is that you can collect information about your targets without directly connecting to them or without interacting to them. Bro, can get my hacked mail. You can get my hacked mail. Bro, okay. Mm, we can discuss it soon, inshallah. Okay, bro. We can discuss it soon. So the power of such tool is that you can collect information about your targets without directing connecting to them. Moreover, the trove of information you may find using such tools can be massive once you master the search options and get used to reading the results. Looking who is records like this and look up ns-a records. So I hope you learn it and you learn something from and I hope you like and subscribe my channel and I hope you learn something from this live again. Okay, so that's all in this live session. So we learn passive reconnaissance in this room. So in the next live session we are discussing the active reconnaissance. Okay, so